Let's go. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday to ya. Happy Wednesday. Hello, how are we? What we doing? What's going on? What you doing? Where are you watching? Outside in the garden, nice and sunny. Are we having a gin and tonic? Are we having a rum? That's what some of us do now, don't you know? Some of us also drink vodka. We're like very super experimental, trying all these new fandangled things. So hello, happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Tonight we're streaming on everywhere, all the sip and share places in Gin Swap on YouTube, and this will be available to watch after. So if you watch on replay, please put hashtag replay. I always forget to say that, but tell me, it's good to know, good to see the stats. So this evening I've got some mixers with me, and I genuinely don't know if I'm going to need them because I don't really know what's going on. What I do know is we're trying this. When I say trying, that's like my 8-year-old daughter who says, "Mummy, can I just try that chocolate?" I'm like, "Do you mean eat it because you had it yesterday and you know what it tastes like?" She, "Yes, I mean eat it." So when I say try, I mean drinking, but trying is like a classier way to describe drinking an alcohol on camera. So we're trying Market Row Rum. This is our first live rum tasting, other than a party we did a few weeks ago. It's our first live rum. So I really hope Patrick's going to be kind to me. Hope he doesn't ask me any questions about how it's made, because I'll be like, don't know, sit it in a barrel and see what happens. Let's find out. But yeah, I have mixers with me. Don't know what I'm going to do with them. Don't know if I'm going to need them. All I know is I'm really thirsty. So let's see what happens. Right then, we're going to bring on the main man himself. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
All right. I'll be honest with you, Pat, a little bit scared / excited because I feel comfortably out of my comfort zone, which is exciting.
That's a brilliant place to be. We love talking about rum, and we love talking about rum to gin drinkers. And we generally love talking about rum, and we love talking about it because, for precisely the reason why we got into it, there's a whole wealth of knowledge out there. It's an amazing category, and there's lots of people that would like to know more. But I think the category hasn't helped itself in a way, and people are waking up to the amazing tastes and flavors and aromas that you get from Rome, and there's a real sort of movement and a vibe about the category at the moment. So many, you'll see loads of spiced rums coming on board, lots of more premium rums coming on board. There's new words like a botanical rum, which is what we are. So there's lots of stuff going on in rum, as well as how to drink it, which is a little bit more than your traditional rum and coke, or as you might call it, your woman coke.
Woman coke. So tell us about Market Row Rum. So this is what we're talking about, or this is your this is your brand. So
that's right.
What do you do? What is this? What is the Brixton Distillery? Tell us a bit about this first before we get
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, I'm delighted that your share is about the same as mine, because it means it's sort of halfway empty as well, and you haven't given up, which is fantastic. So Market Row Rum is a product of 2 years in the making now. Myself and my business partner came together. We used to work for Pernod Ricard and Shivers Brothers, and he was spending a lot of time in Brixton. I'm a Londoner myself, and he was looking for things to do after he left Pernod Ricard. And we plenty of experience in whiskies. We worked on whiskies together, and we talked about the idea of a rum based in Brixton, and that was the start. And that was 23 months ago. We wanted it to be more than just a PowerPoint project, shall we say. We wanted it to have, real roots. And we stopped the project halfway through and said, actually, we do need to get a distillery and have roots. And, Brixton there's a real vibe about the place. And ever since we made that decision, we've not looked back. So we got a couple of people on board, one of which was a friend of mine who's installed about sort of 50 gin distilleries around Europe. And he talked to us about the production and the development and what was going in the category. My experience was all around Havana Club, which is an amazing rum, and truly respectful of that. I've got some other pet favorites like Diplomatico and one or two others. And, we set about developing what we call a botanical rum. Okay. And that's what we saw the opportunity. So our product comes from the Caribbean. We've got 5 rums from Hampden Estate, Worthy Park, Money Musk, which are the Jamaican ones, Foursquare, which is in Barbados. And from the Dominican Republic, you've got Alcoholes Finos Dominicanos, I think is how you pronounce it.
Pause there. Because remember, you're talking to a gin drinker here. You do so.
Yep.
These names, so this has got, honestly, I'm not joking. So there's rum made in those different countries. So you've just named 5 different brands of rum independently, their own brand of rum, are they?
That's correct. That's correct. But it's no different from a Scotch whiskey in terms of it's a blend of rums.
Okay, so there's these other rums, and you have picked the ones you love, right? So you've picked the ones you like, and you have shipped it over here.
So we produce the recipe here.
Okay.
And then there is through our master blender, and then we give that recipe to a company called Shear, who are based in the Netherlands. And because they buy in such bulk, they then pull that recipe together and then ship it across the house. So that's the base rum recipe. We then bring it to our distillery in Brixton, and I'll come back to our distillery in Brixton. Okay. And we've got 100-litre still in Brixton, okay? And a still is those sort of big saucepans that you see in any of the visitor centres that you may go to in a whiskey distillery. Right. And we've got one of those, and we bring our rum in, and it's at 65% ABV at the time, 65% alcohol by volume. And then we redistill it. So it has a secondary distillation. Okay, so if you think about how gin is made from the base alcohol and then it's steeped with the botanicals, ours has already been distilled once, and then we redistill it with the botanicals, okay? And then it's a secondary distillation. And then that spits out our product, which we mix again with more raw rum and with filtered water, okay? Filtered water because London water is not great. So we have to do a big job of filtering our water. And that is what then delivers our product. And once we've got our product, we then bring in the people from Brixton to hand fill, hand package, hand seal, and hand ship out the door.
Oh my life, that sounds like a lot of hard work. All of that, every part of that process sounds like a lot of hard work. So is that why it's called? So explain to me what the botanical rum bit. So other rum. So I have another rum there. So other rum, won't speak about them tonight. Other rum. Why is it called a botanical rum?
Okay, so a botanical rum is a distant cousin of a spiced rum. The technical definition of spiced rum is infused with herbs and botanicals. Okay, and so but it's a perception that many spiced rums have of them being quite sweet. Yes. And what we wanted to produce was a slightly lighter and drier rum that when you added the botanicals complemented the rums rather than overpowering them. And so I think it is. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm listening. Okay. No, I can feel everyone else's as well. Don't worry, we're really interested.
One of the perceptions of rum is it's quite sweet, and it's also quite sweet because if you add it with Coke or ginger beer, or predominantly Coke, which is mostly how it's drunk, then you get a double dose of sweetness. What we're trying to do is to add another element of complexity, and then finding out I call it appetizing, innovative, inspiring ways to drink the product. Okay, which we will come on to. The second, so that's a bit of background about the product. Yeah. In Brixton, I'm sure a lot of people will know. Brixton is a suburb of London that's had its issues over the years. In fact, it celebration is the right word, commemorates 40 years since the riots in 1981. But it is an amazing place at the moment. It's full of independent businesses that are being supported by many, many people in and around the area. And there's a real vibe about the place. We took a workspace at a co-working space, not-for-profit, social conscience, Black owned, in a container village 2 years ago. I met the owner and he said we were moving, and he said, I've got a room, would you be interested in a room? Because I'd had two possible locations I kind of lost by not offering enough money, and they went to hairdressers. And so I looked at this room. It was an old photographic studio, black walls, black ceiling, black windows. It was a shambles, and we stripped it out, did all the necessary to make sure we got sort of health and safety and trading standards approval and all of those kinds of things. Sorted out the electricals and water, and have been in there since August the 26th and have never looked back. It's an amazing community, and we have sourced our web designer, our photographer, some PR support from that community in Brixton, and everybody's really supportive of each other. And our inspiration, or rather my inspiration, came from seeing that community get involved when I was out still working for Pernod Ricard in Louisville, and I saw Blanton's, which is an amazing bourbon, being hand packed in that way by the community. And that's what we try to do. We bring in sort of 2 or 3 of the community from within Pack Brixton, and we play some music, drink some rum, and gossip. And that's my favorite bit at the moment.
That's right. Is going on, drink some market rum, put some tunes on, and have a good chat and see who's doing what.
Yeah, and we've reached a stage now, 7 or 8 months in, where we've kind of, there's myself and a brand ambassador, and we're looking for an intern now, and it's been absolutely everything I wanted, was to try and provide some employment for somebody. Right. And if it continues to progress, then I would love to get another, a brand manager of some kind. And, I think at this moment in time, the single most important thing that we can do for young people is to find a job. And that is, when we made a decision, it wasn't the most difficult decision in the world to make, because we were struggling for resource. Let's go and find an intern, and that's it's the start. That's all it is. It's the start. Yeah. But we mentor 1 or 2 people who've sort of reached out to us for help where we can. And Mikey, my brand ambassador, he will do guest shifts when the trade starts to open up. And it is just about supporting the local trade as well. And, so touch wood, so far so good.
So let's talk about, and I totally agree and understand with that driver of wanting to provide employment. That's something that pushes me forward as well. So I completely understand that. So Tina has asked, Pat, without giving your recipe away, smiley face, what kind of botanicals were included at the second distillation?
Well, that's so on the back.
Yeah.
Lots of people make a big thing. Lots of gin brands make a big thing about their botanicals. Okay. On the back of this, we've written a poem. Okay. And that poem explains all about our botanicals. Now, you haven't got a bottle, and I'm not about to do a Pam Ayres and read the poem.
Oh, come
on. It will take 2 minutes. Would you like me to? Well, I'll try and do it in 1 minute. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to Brixton, the gem of South London, where culture and art are rich and abundant. It's here we choose to distill our rum, enticed by the people and the traders' hum. We blend Bayesian molasses with Jamaican black gold, adding Dominican Republic that's smooth yet bold. In ex-bourbon barrels, we mature our mix, then ship it to London to add some more tricks. Kenyan black tea, South Asian red rose, Nigerian hibiscus, allspice and cloves. Sourced from our friends around Market Row, so we feel local pride as our drinks overflow. This is our rum, made from our streets. It's vibrant, it's smooth, and not oversweet. Rum made like us, spiced but not coddled. I think we had to work that word in. It's South London spirits, it's Brixton bottled. So in answer to the question, the 3 defining Every gin has defining botanicals. Our defining botanicals in our rum are Nigerian hibiscus, which is in Nigeria is known as Zobo, Kenyan black tea, and Asian red rose, which is predominantly from Pakistan, although you can get it across the border in Afghanistan, and you can get it in Morocco. But at the moment, the red rose petals that we're buying come from Pakistan. And then there's Grenadian mace, vanilla from Madagascar. It is really difficult to get vanilla from Brixton, so it's not everything. We're not exclusively from the Brixton market because we can't get vanilla extract from there, and cloves and oregano and one or two other things. But it's not a secret recipe. I think one of the things that we set out on our journey was to be as transparent as we could, we are. There's, to my mind, having worked in the drinks trade for 20 years, the whole aura of secret recipes has long since gone.
Yeah, I'm with you. So first of all, well done on your Pamers moment. That filled my heart with joy. I love it. Let's have a little glass. Let's have a little sip. So how do you drink this? But first of all, let's talk about how it smells, because it says on the front, matured in bourbon barrels. And oh my God, it is like that. When I opened this, it didn't smell like a rum, like what I was expecting. So I got vanilla and bourbon and then like a tea smell, which is a crap description, excuse my own language. But that's what, no, you can't come in. So there's no point knocking because I'm online, 8-year-old. Unless you're going to drink rum, which you're not. So how do you describe it? How do you describe the smell?
Yeah, so I should just pour myself one just to So on the nose, you're getting really nice. On the nose, you're getting really nice, sort of bright, vibrant, classic Jamaican high ester rums. Okay, with an element of fruitiness. So quite aromatic. That's the botanicals kicking in. Okay, and that is, your reaction is no different from anybody else that has tasted it, which is wow. That wasn't what I was expecting. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's high esters from Jamaica is a sort of a chemical. I hate using this word, but it's like a chemical compound. But it really gives you that sort of a little bit of complexity, which is really difficult to describe. On the complexity on the nose is not something you would normally say, but it's a interesting sort of array of flavors. The one thing that we tried to do was to make sure, when you then taste it, that it's not disconnected. So the aromas that you're getting then move into the taste. Okay. Yeah. And that's really, I worked on wines many, many years ago, and that was always something that they were very careful, making sure that the nose is not disconnected from the palate. So once you get into the palate, then you're getting the fruitiness of the Foursquare, the Bayesian rum, okay, which is what Foursquare is absolutely noted for. And it's funny, I get bourbon it comes later for me. The bourbon barrels, it comes sort of mid palate, and then at the end you're getting that kind of smoothness which the Dominican Republic rums, which is a slightly younger rum, brings to it. And that was the element when we were playing around with these that we added last, and which sort of made us feel, okay, we've got there now. So that's my kind of abridged version of how I describe it. I don't think there's anything. You get a hint of creamy vanilla, I think, as well, and lots of people obviously get some big pineapple notes as well. In terms of how you drink it, we designed it so that it cut through a mixer, because there's nothing worse than you paying X pounds for your rum and for it to be swamped by a mixer. And some mixers do that. Yeah. I've worked, after Pernod Ricard, I worked for a couple of mixer brands. And I wanted to design it with mixers in mind. Okay. And I wanted then once we've got that, to work out which mixers and which mixer flavors. So, you know, there's some amazing mixer brands out there at the moment. It's come on leaps and bounds. There's some fantastic innovation going on, which is a real kind of, you know, it's like kids in a sweet shop when we go and talk about mixers. Our favorite at the moment, well, we've got 4 favorites that we talk about, but there's loads of great stuff. Our favorite at the moment is a brand called 3 Cents, which is a Greek mixer brand. And there's a mandarin and bergamot flavor that they do. It's not widely available. I think you can get it speciality. That is really fantastic. There's a new mixer brand called Lixir out there, and they do a blood orange. Yeah, they are great people to work with, and they're doing some really good stuff. And they do a blood orange and cinnamon, which would be our favorite up alongside 3 Cents. And then we're working with Merchant Heart, who do a hibiscus tonic.
Yep.
And the 4th one is Fever Tree's spiced orange, which is really spiced orange ginger ale. Okay, so what you're getting is a balance of the slightly drier rum and then the slightly sweeter mixer. And you know, those 4, and we funnily enough, we didn't recommend a ginger beer just because there's a load of really good ginger beers out there. So it wasn't one that we said is better than all the others. Right. You know, Fever Tree's ginger beer is exceptional. Lixir's got a very, very good ginger beer. Yeah. London Essence. Yeah, you're in their pay. But we really like, and funnily enough, we found out that they're taking some space in Brixton, not next to us, but close by. So they're great to work with. So it's a versatile drink. So you can sip it as well. I often sip it when I used to have friends around, or secretly had friends around to try it. You can sip it, have it with a mixer. I better have a drink. And the other is our signature cocktail is, excuse me.
No, it's okay. I'll get it. Merchant's Heart tonic.
Yeah. And then we get, in terms of cocktails, we have a brand ambassador, Mikey, who used to work in Cotton's Rum Shack. He's developing up recipes all the time. And our signature recipe is a Hibiscus Daiquiri. And that is what we make all the time. We have a Friday night session at Impact Brixton where he quite often gets behind the bar and makes these. And so we Hibiscus Daiquiri. It's great in an old fashioned, and we're trying, you know, we've got loads of recipes on our website as well. So, but Hibiscus Daiquiri is kind of what we lead with.
So Maureen's asked a question, which I think is an interesting one. What makes rum a rum? If juniper makes a gin, what's, you know, as the lead botanical, what's the definition? I mean, you've made a botanical rum, and we know with gins, botanical distillates and botanical blends coming out, and there's, you know, these kind of offshoots emerging. But when you define a rum, what is it? What is the?
Well, that's a really clever question. I mean, the definition of a rum is, you know, it's made either from the molasses, sugarcane, which is part of the production process, or sugarcane juice. And it's funny, again, the point I should have made is that as combines both, and that is what comes together to make rum as such. Can I explicitly answer your question? What defines a rum? No, apart from that's how it is produced. You know, and it goes through, you know, similar processes to fermentation and distillation than other spirits. But it's you know, there is the alcohol within those molasses.
So what do you see? And I think you kind of nodded to this at the beginning, but obviously stating with gin has gone boom, and it's been boomed and continues to boom. You know, the amount of distillers that have popped up over the past 12 to 18 months. And I'm seeing more and more innovation in the use of botanicals, in the presentation, in the distillation. You know, is rum, because there's a lot of gin distillers kicking in the rum space, you know, the amount of, that's what they're doing now. So is rum as a sector, it's been talked about that rum is going to overtake gin, and apparently last year in sales it did. And like I said, not according to my lot, it didn't, not even share. But what's happening in the rum space, and what are you guys doing, you know, moving forward? What's your intention in the rum space?
Yeah, I mean, the rum space is growing, and it's growing in premium and super premium, and I think that's where people see the opportunity. You know, the gin revolution in the UK is largely because it's quite easy to make gin. You know, there's no barriers to entry. You don't have to lay down any spirits. It's not something that you age. If any of you, you know, been down to the Plymouth Visitor Centre, they do something where you can make your own gin. And, you know, I've been down there a couple of times, made my own gin, and yeah, I've made some terrible gins, but, you know, some others, you know, you can make a half decent gin. Clearly, you know, in no way am I an expert in that area. But you know, in rum, the processes make it slightly more difficult. Aged rums, you know, have to be laid down, and typically, you know, not all. There are some English rums. There's some great rums being produced here directly, you know, from the importation of molasses. But typically, if you import from the Caribbean, you know, then there's a big sort of cash flow issue with duty payments as well. So the barriers to entry are slightly higher in rum. So I'm really not expecting, you know, the explosion that we've seen in gin. But I am seeing lots more people playing in that space. And, you know, that for us is a great thing, because it means that people will be more comfortable talking about rums, trying different rums, and, you know, be open to, you know, different phraseology, different titles and things like that. You know, when we first came on board and said we're going to call it a botanical rum, you know, why are you calling it a botanical rum? It's a spice rum. Well, here's our thinking as to why we're calling it a botanical rum. And, you know, believe it or not, Brewdog produced a botanical rum called 500 Cuts, which they put out onto the market maybe a year or two ago. There's probably about 6 or 7 botanical rums. If you go onto, you know, one of the big e-commerce sites, you know, there'll be about 6 or 7 botanical rums on there. When we first started, there were 2. Right. And, you know, again, one of the difficulties if you start a gin is to have a real point of difference. You know, what makes you stand out versus the place where you are made. And, you know, and there's some, you know, I've read some great descriptors on gin brands about why this gin stands out more than the next gin. And, you know, it's a similar challenge that we have. What is our point of difference? And our point of difference is that we are, you know, made in London. We are a botanical rum, and we play hard on our expertise in blending the botanicals together with, you know, some super high quality rums. And, you know, whilst
go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, the secondary bit is, you know, both Laurent and I wanted also to give back to the community as well. We did some work on Chivas Regal with the venture where you gave back to, there was funds available for people starting up new ventures, and we wanted to do something similar. So, you know, the fact that we've got these people, you know, web agencies, social media agencies that, you know, we're able to engage on our product just means it makes it that much more interesting. And we really enjoy working with people in the local area. Really, really enjoy it.
Let me start again. What I'm seeing when I'm speaking to gin distillers is they're looking at rum, and they're looking to make a product that takes the gin drinkers with them. And when I started, you know, when we brought rum into the portfolio at Sip and Share, you know, which is 70-80% gin and has been and will stay that way for the gin loyalists, or the gin monsters as I call them, will stay that way for a good hearty while. But I wanted to push my own boundaries and explore other British spirits and kind of bring them on the journey with me. Is your rum, do you think, a product that moves, you know, can move the experienced gin drinker into their rum? Or would you say it's more of a rum drinker's rum? Like,
no, definitely the former. Definitely the former. You know, so talking to gin drinkers who are interested in that whole botanical story,
Yeah.
is perfect because we tell a similar story,
Yeah.
and we're forever trying to refine the quality of the botanicals, our sourcing and things like that. That is our point of difference at the moment. And that's what we're trying to sort of drive home. So no, that is absolutely where we think that we should be going. Talking to a dyed-in-the-wool rum head who has only ever been drinking rums for 20, 30 years, A, there's not enough of them to keep us alive.
Yeah.
B, we're not, they will carry on drinking the rums that they love from the Caribbean or from Venezuela or from Central America, or agricole from the French colonies, former French colonies, and that's So I totally agree with that. That it is ideally to take, those people that have probably got 5 or 6 gins in there on their drink shelf. That they may have one rum, and we probably like them to have 2 or 3 rums.
Yeah.
If you went back 20 years, people had 1 gin and 1 and 2 whiskies. One that you consumed, Monday to Friday, and the others when friends came around. And that's all changed now. And you only have to look at the back bar in the entree to see, 20 gins, 4 or 5 rums. And 1 or 2 of those rums will be your classic bog standard, and I won't name them, but we know who they are. Your £15 rums, and that's because that's what people know. And actually, what we're trying to do is try something different.
Yeah, Maureen, I need this for my collection. When you said 5 or 6 gins, you should see.
I guess I should have done my research. I'm assuming that some of your viewers listeners have got sort of 10 or 20.
So yeah, at least I think Maureen's got about 400. Anyway, this is kind of why, what I'm realizing with the gin drinkers on Sip and Cherries, they are established gin lovers who are looking to experiment and expand. They're not early craft gin adopters. They're established. They've been doing it for at least 2 or 3 years. They're well past. You mentioned you mentioned the brand, but they're well past the gin equivalent of that £15 bottle. And so this is a natural next step because they're already collecting and experimenting, and that's the business side of it, is looking at those partners that can take the Sip and Share members on that journey. And that's what's great about you guys. And when I drank, I gave it to my husband actually, and he kind of drinks gin. He doesn't really bother about rum, although I have had to say, don't drink it because I'm doing a live. That's been my sentence over the past 2 weeks. We both smelt it and went, that smells different, and it tastes, just pick your part on your point earlier, it does taste as it smells. It does do that, doesn't it? It's there are several where you go taste of one thing and then you smell it. Oh, sorry, it smells of one thing and you go, oh, I can't taste that, or I can't tell. Yours doesn't. The match, the reference to your wine experience feels really appropriate. What's next then for Market Row Rum? I mean, Robin's asked a white rum or pineapple rum, or what's in your future portfolio with your background? Portfolio.
Yeah, we're just starting to talk about it at the moment, as to what's next. Whether we do a limited edition or whether we do a white rum. There's lots of people out there doing 65% overproof white rums to try and hit that Ray and nephew market. I'm going to take my time. To be honest, it's we're getting the trade opens up a bit more in 2 weeks' time, and then a bit more after that. So there's 2 of us, so we just want to try and. Our job is to get ourselves immersed in South London first, and if that works, then we know we've got something that could grow bigger. We're talking to 1 or 2 international markets as well. We've got some links too, so we're hoping that works. But I would like to get another variant out pre-Christmas. That would be my plan.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, we'll maybe look forward to doing a group tasting of Market Row Rum and the other product as and when it comes.
For sure. Yeah.
That was so interesting, Pat. And I speak for me and on behalf of, I know, the people who are watching live and will watch on catch up. I think it was really, you know, for our first proper rum conversation, your knowledge and experience is very evident, not only in the products itself, but through speaking to you. So yeah, and I tell you what, just remind us, Pat, remind us of the mixers, orange and cinnamon from Lixia, which we have a deal with Lixia, and that's getting stronger in the next couple of weeks. So orange and cinnamon for Lixia, the 3 Scott, which is from Sweden.
There's 3 cents, which is mandarin and bergamot. And then there is Fever Trees spiced orange ginger ale, and then Merchant Heart's hibiscus.
I think I've had that in here somewhere. All right, brilliant. Well, that's what I'm off to do with my ice and my rum, and I really like the sort of, I feel like a naughty person, like, oh, I'm trying rum. I'm cheating on gin, but isn't it exciting? So thank you so much. Is there anything else we should know about Brixton Distillery and Market Row Rum before we let everybody get on with their... Oh, someone say, can they you? Are you open? I mean, maybe you're not.
We are open. That's what I was going to say. Our door is always open. And, you know, we plan for it to be not a visitor centre, that'd be the wrong thing, but you know, we'll do stuff there probably from sort of July, August onwards, but the door is always open. We are, you know, look us up in the brixtondistillery.com. There's loads more up there to be found out about the brand. Yeah, that's it. And if anybody is in Brixton or South London area and would like to know where you can go and get it, we're on Instagram, Market Row Rum. Brilliant. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, well, thank you so much, Pat, for your time. It was really interesting. And yeah, we'll say goodbye and let everyone get on with their Wednesday evening. Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure.
Oh, lovely. All right, bye everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you very soon. Bye.